Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
Breaking news for you this evening. 5 people have been charged with giving alcohol to minors in connection with a large party in late September in Beltrami County that resulted in a death. 19-year-old Isaac Morris, who was at that party, fell 7 stories to his death out of a Bemidji State University dorm room. Those charged are Bryce Matson, Jack Matheson, Aaron Treblehorn, Zachary Morse, and Jordan Swan, all charged with 2 counts of furnishing alcohol to someone under the age of 21. They could spend a year in jail and pay a $3,000 fine for each count. Authorities allege that Matson, Matheson, and Treblehorn pooled funds to get kegs of beer for the party and then sold cups to people to get access to the beer. Morse and Swan are accused of purchasing the kegs for the party and providing the location to hold that party. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension has identified the 2 officers who discharged their firearms during an officer-involved shooting in Bemidji. Those 2 people are Officer Bidal Duran and Deputy Brandon Newhouse. Authorities also have identified the deceased victim, 34-year-old Vernon Andrew John May of Red Lake. It happened at the intersection of 30th Street Northwest and Ridgeway Avenue. Police say it was a traffic stop gone bad. They say an officer pulled over a driver who had a passenger with a felony warrant for their arrest. Police say they noticed the individual had a handgun, and that's when a fight broke out. That's also when the officer and deputy who responded fired their weapons, killing May on the spot. The officer and deputy have been placed on standard administrative leave.
Oh, I'm angry. I'm very angry. You know, I send my son to school so he gets an education, not to have some other kid come up to him and smash his face into a wall.
A student attending an elementary school in Bemidji, Minnesota, is now dealing with a broken front tooth after he says he was shoved into a wall while standing in line for lunch. The boy's parents called their whistleblower hotline to say bullying is a problem in Bemidji and they need help. Our Valley News team's Maddie Gelseth talked with the boy's parents and the school to see what could be done in the Battle Against Bullying initiative.
The no bullying has to be enforced. It has to be dealt with in a much more aggressive manner.
Cynthia says this after her 9-year-old son Revlin got a chipped tooth after getting shoved into a wall by a fellow student. Luckily, the tooth got repaired, but
it won't ever be the same. It's more fragile. He'll have to be careful with it. And then there is the chance that the tooth may die.
Cynthia says the other student who did this to Revlin got a 1-day suspension. And the superintendent of the Bemidji area school says they are dealing with the incident and the child. He says the Bemidji schools, quote, don't tolerate bullying and they seek to provide a safe environment for all students. But the Booths want a guaranteed safe environment for their son. And they're going to take extra measures to ensure that.
I'm going to have to sit down with him and we're going to have to go over some basic, defense protocols because I cannot send him to school and have him get hurt.
The Booths say they're keeping their options open on if they're going to send Revlin back to school. They also said they need to do what's the best and safest thing for their son.
He says he's okay, but his actions do say otherwise.
In Bemidji, Maddie Gelseth, Valley News Live.
The superintendent of Bemidji area schools also says they are doing their best to prevent this from happening again. A United States postal employee in Grand Forks helped stop a drug dealer from getting his supply. A U.S. postal inspector intercepted a package back in September that was directed to 32-year-old Juan Hernandez and came from California. The inspector wrote a search warrant, opened the package, and found 1 pound of meth. The U.S. Postal Service said, and the Grand Forks Narcotics Task Force delivered the package to Hernandez, who took it. 3 minutes later, they used a search warrant. Hernandez, who is from Grand Forks, is charged with possession of meth with intent to deliver. He'll have a preliminary hearing on January 4th. Today looks a little like yesterday and the day before, cloudy and now foggy, but pretty quiet. Hutch, do you expect any changes for this evening?
No, in fact, the main concerns weather-wise for anyone traveling around the area this Friday night will be that patchy dense fog, and with temperatures close to freezing, some locally slippery conditions on roads, sidewalks and such will continue. The fog spreads from north central parts of North Dakota, Minot through Carrington and the James and Cheyenne River valleys, where Visibility is reported to be as low as 0. That stretches down to Oaks and into Lakes Country as well. So watch for that. Give yourself extra time to use the low beams and slow down in foggy conditions out there. A little bit of mixed precipitation showing up on the radar to the south and west as a storm exits the Rocky Mountains. Temperatures in the low 30s right now will stay in the 20s here in the FM area. And look at the difference between our live tower cam right there and the Grand Forks area, where there's less fog to be concerned about. Temperatures are in the 20s. All details on a winter storm that will impact the region, but skip the valley. So if you're traveling this weekend, I'll let you know where all that's going to hit here in a minute.
Okay, thanks, Sutch. It's time to take a look at this week's Valley's Most Wanted. Police say 27-year-old Dwayne Vervallen Jr. is wanted for a probation violation of possession of drug paraphernalia. You can call your local law enforcement if you have any information on him. A sex offender who previously lived next to a daycare and close to an elementary school in Moorhead has moved. 32-year-old Daniel Grinder is now living in Fargo at 734 College Street North. That's close to the Family Fare supermarket on University. Grinder was convicted of using force, manipulation, and alcohol to have sexual contact with girls under the age of 15. Several emergency crews responded to the Fargo Jet Center just before 2 this afternoon after getting a report that a plane had crashed. It was later determined that the Cessna had slid off the runway, and that was confirmed by Executive Director and Municipal Airport Authority Coordinator Sean Doberstein. He says the plane was coming to Fargo from Williston. He did not know how many people were on board. No injuries were reported. This year's property tax statements were sent out today in Cass County. The auditor's office mailed out 68,000 statements, which is one of the largest amounts they've seen. The property tax rates are up 1.3%.
Well, they're up about 1%. In Fargo, you know, your effective tax rate's about 1.3, the same in West Fargo. If you go out into the rural area, it's generally less than that. Unless you're in some of the smaller cities, it might be a little bit higher.
The money that's collected with these property taxes is distributed to all local government agencies. The statements are due January 1st. Grand Forks Red River Junior Tanner Bernardson was preparing for a game against West Fargo Cheyenne yesterday when he received a special gift. West Fargo Cheyenne played Grand Forks Red River yesterday and heard about the boy's mother who had died from cancer, so they showed up to deliver flowers to his home before the game. Tonight, we'll have more on this story on Valley News Live at 9 and 10. Fargo's Kennedy Elementary saw a few bigger kids visiting the school earlier today. A couple NDSU Bison football players stopped by to read books to the students and answer their questions. NDSU sophomore Cordell Volson says he knows a family who goes to the school, so he reached out to get the day set up.
It's huge what the community does for us, so it's always great to give back. The continued support that we have, just you drive around town, you see Bison signs, Bison flags.
I've never seen Bison players up so close.
It's been a blast. We just got done in the first grade classroom, and there was, I don't know, 30, 40 kids in there, and they all were so excited to see us and listen to us read.
The players spent a couple hours reading to several K through second grade classes. Coborn's has announced it has signed an agreement with SuperValu to acquire the company's Hornbacher stores in the FM area. This includes the store that is currently under construction in West Fargo. 5 of the stores in operation are located in Fargo, and 2 of the stores are in Moorhead. The Fargo-Moorhead Sertoma Club is announcing the return of the 20th annual Holiday Lights in Lindenwood Park, with a grand opening starting at 5:30 this evening. The public can enjoy 80 to 85 colorful displays nightly from 5:30 p.m. to 10 p.m., November 30th to December 31st. Admission is $7 per vehicle, $6 with a non-perishable canned food item, and $11 per bus or limo. All proceeds benefit local charities supported by the Sertoma and Optimist International Clubs. All food donations will be donated to local food pantries.